hitters besides Sanchez and Kwan.
We're live.
Okay. Oh, I got another one. Hang on. I got two others. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 9. Hello and welcome to episode 1039 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Tuesday, April 12th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning, good sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. We got a full slate and we got not a ton of time to get into it, so let's talk about some baseball. Let's start with some injury news. It's not great. When you saw 4 runs put up by Oakland immediately, I don't know if you were like me and you're instantly like, no, what's going on? Luis Patino getting smoked. You might have been better off with him getting smoked because it's actually worse. He's hurt and he's going to the IL with an oblique strain. And we know how those can be, Justin. We always fret when it's the dreaded oblique strain. In fact, we're going to get to another oblique strain here in just a moment, who also went on the IL. Here's the thing, though, with Luis Patino, and I know you've got him in a lot of spots, so you're super lamenting this one. If you only have, say, 1 IL spot, maybe 2, are you cutting him in shallower leagues, 10s and 12s?
So, in my Barf League team, I have now lost my top 5 starters and both my closers.
What? Did you draft any injured guy? No, that sounds like they all been hurt.
Yes, I did not draft a single injured player.
Oh my God, dude.
So, and Luis Patino was number 5.
That's a disaster, man.
It's unreal. Most of my teams have been very injury, free, right? But yeah, I've got Patino in 5 leagues. They're all fab leagues. They're all important leagues. So this is a real bummer. I'm kind of waiting on the news to kind of see because I don't know if you saw the video from it.
I did not.
When I originally saw the injury, I was really worried about the shoulder because the shoulder was an issue.
Yes.
In spring training, and he instantly doubles over in pain. Usually with these
panic instantly.
Yeah, because usually with these oblique injuries, it's like, they just walk off the mound or in between innings.
Like grimace and just a little trying to stretch it out type of deal.
He kind of crouches down, is in a ton of pain. Obviously, typically these injuries are 4 to 6 weeks. I think in 10 and 12 team leagues, he's a pretty easy cut.
Yeah, I think Patino, he's already scantily owned in such leagues, 15 at Yahoo, 11% at ESPN. So he was already kind of a spec play. What are you doing in 15s? What are you doing in the NFBC where you only have the 7 reserves?
He's probably going to be a cut for me in Bar for sure. Where
that's a 15-teamer, and you're getting decimated, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've already had to drop another guy that I drafted fairly highly. I'm probably going to have to drop him because, I've also got, Lance Lynn and Chris Sale, Dylan Floro, Luis Urias. Like, team is just decimated with injuries.
That is brutal.
Like I said, I didn't draft any injuries. This is just
these all just happened.
All happened.
I think I'm moving on. I think even in 15-teamers, and we're gonna get into so many guys that pitched well on Tuesday. We kind of got blessed here, or on Monday, we got blessed with a really strong slate of mid-tier and low-tier guys who are going to be available. So we can get into a lot of those guys, and I'll ask you a lot on Patino or that guy when we get to them. But let's get into the other news. Another guy left early, Taijuan Walker, after 2 really strong innings. He was looking good, shoulder irritation. They're going with the old precautionary measure, which I appreciate the optimism and downplaying it. How do you not be worried about Taijuan Walker, though? It was 2 perfect innings with 4 strikeouts, but color me concerned on this for sure.
Yeah, he was rolling. He looked really, really good, and then all of a sudden he wasn't there. This is super disappointing, and because he was pitching so well. But also kind of, this is who he is, right?
The course, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially on the Mets. So
And he's dealing with lower body, a knee issue earlier from the surgically repaired knee, and now a shoulder. And so
the shoulder's much more scary.
Of course. And don't make a move until we figure it out. Maybe it, just because I kind of pointed out that they're playing it softly. I'm trying to catch a fly out of midair, by the way, if you're wondering what I'm grabbing at. I got it.
Wow.
But he wasn't.
How very Karate Kid of you.
So he got out though, but it wasn't my hand. I swear to God. So I didn't actually kill it. Anyway,
make sure you go back and watch the video if you're listening.
Taijuan Walker will undergo an MRI. We'll see what's up with it. Obviously, if he goes on the IL, I think he's just as much of a cut as Patino. Do you agree with Taijuan Walker?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to be patient because we saw this week with Blake Snell, where like Blake Snell originally was
still possibly going to start.
He's going on the IL, and now he's going to throw a bullpen today and see, I sat him in all my leagues anyways, just in case because I didn't want to see 0. But just be patient on these kind of decisions because you never really know how they're going to play themselves out.
Exactly. If you're in a daily league, maybe hang on to Walker right now if you really like him, and at least wait to see the news. But otherwise, we'll have news by Sunday for the leagues that are weekly, and you can make your decision on Taijuan Walker. Lucas Giolito with his oblique and AJ Pollock with his hammy officially IL'd by the White Sox. I think both of these were expected. You got to hold both these guys, right?
Yeah, we talked about
obviously.
Yeah, we talked about this on Sunday. But yeah, you obviously got to hold Giolito. If you're in a 10 or 12, and for some reason have Pollock on your roster, I don't have a problem moving on.
Okay.
As much as he's got great talent and he was leading off, a little bit in Chicago, I don't think he's the kind of guy that you need to hold on to your roster if you don't have an IL spot.
Sure.
So.
I think that's fair. Outfields and in 10s and 12s, you're talking generally three outfielders anyway. There's going to be a lot of guys. And so I totally get going out and moving on from Pollock right now based off of this hamstring injury. Interesting little bit of news that was kind of floating around, and it was not really coming from bigger website or bigger Twitter accounts. So I was like, is this real? But then I guess it's been substantiated that the White Sox rejected an Andrew Vaughn for Frankie Montas offer. How did that hit your ear when you heard about that?
This is the first time I'm hearing about it. So,
okay.
I mean, there's part of me, it's like, oh, the White Sox are built to win now. Go win now. You need help in the rotation. You've just lost Giolito and Lynn, but at the same time, like they're in a division they might be able to just tread water in until these guys get back, and then they'll be loaded again in the rotation. And they've got Reynaldo Lopez and Dallas Keuchel that can be serviceable until
Vince
these guys are back.
Starting today. Can Ethan Katz pull some magic with him?
I
know. So, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they've got some guys that they can.
Yeah, I mean, a year ago we were talking about Vaughn is a top 5 prospect in baseball. So I get, and Jose Abreu is a free agent after this year. He slides perfectly into first base. So I can understand. Yeah, I can understand not wanting to do this, and he's looked good so far.
Yeah, got a couple homers.
Gavin Sheets starting over him today, but. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that.
Oh, never mind. No, they're facing a righty. Matt Brash is a righty. I was going to say because they're facing lefty. No, it's Gavin Sheets lefty against Matt Brash righty. But yeah, I really like Andrew Vaughn, and I love Montas too. You know that I wouldn't do this either, so I don't blame the White Sox for saying no.
It's interesting that this is what the A's asked for Montas after what they got for Manaea.
Well, extra year of service.
Still, that's a huge. That's a lot more than an extra year service. This is why Montas has not been traded. If this is what they're asking for,
well, ask Kai. I don't blame. I don't blame the White Sox for asking. Or, I mean, the A's for asking.
I don't either. I don't. But this explains why Montas is still on the A's.
Well, also because they're not motivated to do it immediately because they have that extra year, so they know that they can wait. All right, let's talk about some standout starters here and get your read on where you're at as far as picking them up. These guys are available in a lot of formats. 10s and 12s almost universally, 15s quite a bit as well. Let's start with Nick Martinez. He had some preseason buzz as a sleeper coming back from Japan. This is the same Nick Martinez that you are familiar with from Texas. If that name rings a bell, yep, very same guy who was a soft tosser who couldn't strike us out. He had a literally 13% strikeout rate in 415 innings prior to leaving and going over to Japan for 4 seasons. He comes back and got a little extra velo. It's up about a mile, and big strikeout rate so far. 5 innings, of course, so we're not freaking out. But it was a really nice start against the Giants. 5 innings, 5 hits, a run, a walk, and 6 strikeouts with a 15% swinging strike rate and 39% called strike plus whiff rate, which was the best of the day if you put Taijuan Walker and Luis Patino to the side because of their injury-shortened starts. What'd you think of Nick Martinez dicing up your boys?
It's hard because I've got Martinez in a lot of spots. At the same time, you never want to see your team get diced up. And Alex Wood was pitching well, and then kind of fell apart towards
got a
the
little
end.
bumpy there at the end, like you said.
And of course, neither qualified for a win because the Padres bullpen blew it before.
Well, Martinez qualified. He had 5, but the bullpen they took the win away from him.
Mm-hmm. Martinez was really, really impressive. He got in a little bit of trouble early on in the game, allowing kind of some soft hits and stuff, and but came back and really in the last 3 innings of his outing was pretty dominant. And I'm sure some people are gonna be like, "Oh, well, it's the Giants. Their offense doesn't seem to be nearly as good." I saw that on Twitter.
I disagree with that.
But he was really, really impressive. 4-pitch mix. All of his pitches had at least a 33% CSW.
Nice.
He mixed them really, really well. Austin Nola did a really, really good job calling that game. This is super, super encouraging. If he's still available on your waiver wire, he's one of my top kind of pickups. Is another guy on this list I put right there with him. But I like Nick Martinez a ton.
Yeah, I got Nick Martinez as somebody who has 12-team viability right now and somebody to keep a close eye on in 10-teamers. These guys that have big Monday starts, in a lot of cases, they're going to get a weekend start as well, which if they do well on that start, obviously the price is going to be sky high on the Sunday bidding. But if it's a mediocre or even bad start on that second time around, the price will come back down. He gets a start against Atlanta. If he goes at San Francisco, home to Atlanta, puts up 2 gems, Nick Martinez is going to cost a pretty penny, but I'm not so sure that I'm not willing to pay it. By the way, I did say his velo is up a mile an hour. That is relative to his entire major league sample from 2014 to 2017, where he threw 91. It was actually pretty much in line with his 2017 velo of 92.5. He was at 92.7 yesterday with his
at the beginning of the season, though. So, I mean, guys tend to gain as the season goes
immediately up. Just a lot to like there with the Nick Martinez outing. Michael Lorenzen was another night outing that went very well. And this one, you will put a little bit of the opponent, decline on it because it was against the Marlins. I don't really care, though, to be honest. Like, I want to see guys pitch well. And I'll take it into consideration, of course, the opponent that they're going against. But Michael Lorenzen is transitioning back to starting, and he goes out and puts up 89 pitches especially. That's the thing, too, is that he went 6. So many guys going 4 or 5, even guys that are proven starters. He goes out and throws 89 pitches, 6 innings. That meant a lot to me. I don't care who that's against. 7 strikeouts, 2 hits, only 1 run. It was a Jesus Sanchez homer, 1 of 2 for Sanchez. I was super impressed with Lorenzen. I was a big fan of his coming into the season. Didn't get him in my mains. Actually still available in both of them, though, too. He was a big-time DC guy for me, but seeing him go out, deal game 1, I'm excited. He will not get a second start because they're on a 6-man, so maybe out of sight, out of mind by the time. I mean, listen, he's not going to go for nothing in NFBC.
No,
I'm not pretending that they're not going.
He's going to be expensive.
We'll see. I don't think he's going to be that expensive, to be honest. And I do think the fact that he's starting on Monday and then it's going to be all the way until Sunday, it will keep the price down a little bit. He will not be hidden, but I don't think he's going to be super expensive. I'm really excited about Michael Lorenzen, though.
I am too. Like he was very impressive. There's definitely some command issues that were shown in that game within the zone that the Marlins just didn't take advantage of because it's the Marlins. And I think that's where you look at kind of the quality competition, especially the amount of free swingers in that lineup. But that being said, he was throwing 4 or 5 pitches, and they all look pretty damn good.
Mhm.
I think there will be struggles, and I do worry, like, even with the 6-man rotation, does he tire out at some point because he's being transitioned back into a starter? But for right now, I think you pick him up, you ride the hot streak. He does have Houston, I think, next, so you're
Yeah.
probably not starting him.
Houston on Monday. We'll see.
Yeah,
Houston's difficult for sure. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens, and that could keep the price down too because it
that
won't be
could,
a
yeah.
2-start next week either. Because again, the 6-man they only have 6 games. So if you had a 2-start, that would definitely pump up the price. But it's Houston for a 1-start. I think things are going to be down in the Michael Lorenzen market because some of these other guys might push up because they're going to get a second start over the weekend. Paul Blackburn was a lot more impressive than I thought. He was the counterpart to Luis Patino in that start. Never thought that he was the guy I'd be talking about with some big takeaways from his outing, and yet here we are. Velo is up 2 miles an hour for Blackburn. He's working multiple pitches, 12 swinging strikes, 7 strikeouts. Curve and changeup were particularly sharp. I've got Blackburn on my watch list. He has a trip to Toronto this weekend, and obviously that how that goes will definitely depend. Will weigh heavily on how much he costs on Sunday. Uh, in a way, I'd be open to like a mediocre start, get that price back down. But if the velo is still there on Saturday and we're still seeing some swinging strikes from Paul Blackburn, I could see him being a pickup. I was impressed by this outing enough to at least put him on my watch list. What do you think about Paul Blackburn for the A's?
Where the hell did this come from?
I do not know, man.
Um,
2 miles.
yeah, and I mean, in locating,
Mhm.
with it, like, it wasn't like he was, wild and they were just missing it. He located really well, inside the zone, especially. I was very impressed.
And he's always been a
Uh,
ground baller, so and
yeah,
he kept that going too,
and
so
it's a fantastic park to pitch in.
yep.
It may not be a very good team, and so the wins likely aren't going to be there very often for them, except for when they, like, crazily score 7 or 8 runs. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was very impressed. I'm definitely interested to see if the velo is there on the next start. Before dropping a bunch of money on Fab on him. But
Sure.
yeah, he's the other guy that, along with Nick Martinez, that I was like, ooh, okay, this might actually be something worth kind of acting on with these starters.
Matt Manning opened up pretty well against Boston. Only allowed 1 hit, a homer to JD Martinez. Didn't really have the dominance though. So a lot of batted balls finding gloves with just 2 strikeouts and only 6 swinging strikes for Matt Manning. But as somebody who watched a lot of Matt Manning starts last year, I do take something from this. It was nice. He was mostly in command. Definitely had things go his way with the batted balls, but it's not like he was getting pummeled around the yard and just finding gloves. I think there's a little something to take here against a quality opponent where Matt Manning was not getting absolutely torched. I still need to see more swings and misses to be really excited, but I did take a little something away from a 6-inning, 1-run, 2 strikeout, 0 walk, 1 hit outing from Matt Manning. What'd you see?
Um, yeah, he definitely got a little bit lucky that the balls that were hit didn't fall for hits. Though I do think that part of that is the improved defense up the middle with Javier
Exactly.
Baez, who has been already like midseason form in terms of defensively.
Hmm.
So I definitely think that this is something that can be repeated. I'd like to see some more strikeouts. I mean, 2 strikeouts in 6 innings just doesn't cut the mustard in most formats. But if you're in a deeper format and you're looking for guys who are actually going to be able to qualify for a win, in fact, he went 6 in this outing. It was a really, really good sign. And there was no major blow up. He gave up the 1 home run that he just kind of left up the zone, and
To
that was
JD
it.
Martinez too,
Yeah,
so I'm not too worried about that. Definitely somebody I'm keeping a close eye on for this weekend as well, facing at KC. Could see a huge start from him on Saturday, and then the price goes through the roof though.
yeah. You could also
Jameson,
see him lose it and just get crushed. So,
sure.
like,
And
I definitely would stream it though. It's one
yeah,
worth
if,
doing.
if you can stream that start, definitely go get Matt Manning for the at KC. Jameson Tyon, a lot more available than you probably think based on the name value. 26% at Yahoo, 18% at ESPN. And he was right there toe to toe with Alek Manoah, pitching very well. Gave up a 2-run homer to George Springer, but otherwise 5 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts in 5 innings. 17% swinging strike rate was tied for the best on the day. Again, putting aside Taijuan Walker's 27% mark in 2 innings, he was tied with Blackburn. So what did you think out of Jameson Taillon, and how interested are you in him in shallower formats where he's available?
In shallower formats, I love him because he is a guy that you just ride while he's healthy, and then you kind of, ditch him once he gets hurt. He will get hurt. That's just Jameson Taillon. But
no, don't say that.
I hope I'm wrong. I love it when he's healthy.
Don't say that.
Right now he looks healthy, and got a great start next week, or later this week against the Orioles. So kudos to you guys. I know Rob Silver, said on Twitter today that like he just kind of held his nose for the Toronto start just so he could get the Orioles start later this week. I don't know that. I did not have those balls with Nestor Cortez Jr. So
you didn't?
No, I'm not starting him against Toronto. I
absolutely would have taken the 2-step there.
Maybe I'll regret it, but I'm a little bit more conservative later. And I had a lot of guys who are on 2-step.
Yeah, I go the other way. I'm a little bit more liberal in the early part of the season.
I do the opposite, so that way if I need to catch up, I can become more aggressive and take more shots later on. I want to pad my ratios early on.
I mean, I do, but that's where the aggression's come. I'm trying to pad them. Like, obviously, I'm not expecting it to fail, but I think there's a lot more leeway because there's obviously a start is a start, regardless of when it goes, the 6 innings. But obviously, it's the time that you have to make up for it. And so I'm definitely a bit, especially with guys I believe in, right? Cortez was somebody I really liked. I got sniped on him in our main. I don't think Colin was really in on him, so I wasn't really suggesting that we take him in that one. He's really a DC guy for me, so I did start him there pretty easily. But yeah, I loosened the reins a bit early on, thinking like if my breakouts are the guys that I think they are, then I'm going to see some quality returns, and if not, I can kind of make up for it. So that's kind of how I go. By the way, you should start mentally ranking these guys because we got 2 more, and I'm going to ask you to rank them top to bottom. So Dylan Bundy was next. This one falls in the don't get fooled by 5 scoreless innings, but kind of like Matt Manning too. And I don't want to just be a homer and be excited about Matt Manning because he's a Tiger. The reason I have a little bit of excitement from the Matt Manning one was because of how much he struggled last year. And I like to see him string some innings together, but it was still worrisome with that much contact. Same thing happened with Bundy. 5 innings, 1 hit, 0 runs, 1 walk, 2 punchies, 9% swinging strike rate, only a 24% called strike plus whiff. Same thing that Matt Manning had, 28% is league average. So neither were particularly dominant. What do you think of Dylan Bundy? I think you haven't really been much of a fan, so you're not going to be moved by this.
No. And I mean, the velocity still hasn't gone back to 90, where it was when he was good. So, I'm staying away. Like, he's bottom of the list for me.
And they got a 6-man, so no second start this weekend for Dylan Bundy either. Taylor Hearn. Now, Taylor Hearn was one of those in-between guys because he did give up 8 hits, and there were some extra bases on there, and so you could see some smashes. There were some well-struck balls there, but there were some positives to take from it as well because in those 4 innings that Taylor Hearn threw, he only ended up giving up 1 run, so he got out of the jams, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, throwing 95, 96 with a 16% swinging strike rate and a 28% called strike plus whiff against the Rockies. Now it's Rocky Road, which Nick Pollock termed for the Rockies when they come on the road because of how much worse they are. But I wonder if their first game still has the same impact. I don't know. But either way, the easier opponent. But Taylor Hearn is somebody that I'm not worried about the opponent. I just want to see quality work. So solid 4 innings. Does this move the needle at all for you with Taylor Hearn from Texas?
They are actually the worst of their road numbers come in their first 2 games.
The immediate ones. Okay, that makes so the transition is instant. That checks out. That makes sense because you're immediately seeing the ball be different, and then maybe they can get going 5, 6, 7 games into a road trip. Okay, that checks out.
Yeah. So I actually started Taylor Hearn in a few leagues where either I streamed him or already had him on my DC roster. Mostly because 1, he went deep into his last spring start, which I thought was really nice sign that he could potentially go deep enough in this one to qualify for a win. And he's looked good in spring. And of course it's then the Rockies in their first game away from Coors. So I was impressed. I mean, fastball, breaking pitch were really really nice. I think they're going to be ups and downs, but I also think he's probably in this rotation moving forward. I just don't see anybody who's necessarily going to bump him out. And the Rangers seem to really like him. So Hearn's a guy that he's definitely like a deeper league team streamer.
Certainly.
But someone that shallower leaguers should put on their watch list and kind of see, especially as he builds himself up in terms of innings. Like if he continues to perform like this, he's going to have some value even in shallower formats.
And start against the Angels on Saturday. If he does well, again, I really think it's going to add to the price because that'll be a quality team that he does well against. But Taylor Hearn definitely caught my eye as well. Interesting lefty there for Texas. All right, we're ranking them. We got 7 guys here: Nick Martinez, Michael Lorenzen, Paul Blackburn, Matt Manning, Jameson Taillon, Dylan Bundy, and Taylor Hearn. Go ahead.
I think I'm going Martinez, Blackburn, Lorenzen. Oh, no. No, I'm going to put Taillon above Lorenzen. So Taillon, Lorenzen, Hearn, Manning, Bundy.
Wait, no. Manning, Bundy. Okay. I'm going.
I think you can argue with Manning being higher than Hearn because Manning went deeper in the game.
Sure, I can get behind that. I'm actually going to go Taillon, Lorenzen, Martinez, Blackburn, Manning, Hearn, Bundy. So a little bit different there, and I'll signify those on the sheet there so people can see that. If they're doing something like, I know when people do something like that, a list mentally, if I'm not looking at it, I'm not going to compute it very well. So I'll have indicators there for how we rank them. And so your number 1 is Nick Martinez. So all formats, 10-teamer. Would you go get him?
I would.
Okay. Same for me with Jameson Taillon and Lorenzen. And honestly, maybe even Martinez. So I go down all the way to my 3 guy that I'd probably still go get.
I would too. I'd go all the way down to Taillon. I think you go get him, especially because guys like Martinez and Blackburn, if they turn back into pumpkins or if Taillon gets hurt again, they're easy cuts. Like
exactly.
You can always move on from them in your 10-team leagues. So
are you cutting somebody like Savali for them? He wasn't particularly strong against KC, and I'm a Savali guy, but I'm kind of checking myself on this one.
I'm pretty sure I had Martinez ranked above Savali coming into the year, and I might have had Lorenzen.
He's 78 at 78% rostered at ESPN and Yahoo. How is he that much higher? And I'm a Savali guy. I love that he has good whip and ERA. Like the ratios are his calling card. I think there is some strikeout upside. But how is he at 78 when all those guys that we named, even somebody like Taillon, who has some track record, is so much lower?
I had Lauren Arbach from SB Streamer on the Friends Fantasy Benefits podcast last night, and prior to us recording, which was a fantastic episode. Definitely go check it out. But we were kind of talking about this, and I kind of mentioned, I was like, people who play on ESPN and Yahoo and CBS kind of exclusively, especially, but a lot of people, even when I've done like industry mocks or industry leagues on other sites like that, people tend to just follow the set rankings.
The order, yep.
And we know that some of these other leagues aren't very active or as active once season starts. So it's not surprising to see, guys who were buried in the ranks like Martinez and Lorenzen, not be very wide, and Blackburn not be very widely owned, while Savali is extremely overowned. Savali should not be rostered.
Not in that many leagues, man.
I don't think in 10-team formats to begin with.
I think he's in this group, though, is the thing. I think
he
shouldn't be rostered, but I think he's in this group. And I'll tell you who I would cut, who I've made a pretty quick pivot on. I'm not even necessarily waiting. In weekly leagues, obviously, I have to wait until this weekend. I'd cut Carlos Hernandez for damn near everybody on this list except for Bundy.
Yeah,
I think I'd cut Carlos.
This is a bummer. I've got Carlos Hernandez in the
and I do too. And I ignored a stat that I put in my pitching commentary when I did my list about his awful strikeout rate as a starter. I acknowledged it. I was like, listen, he hasn't had his strikeouts as a starter, but let's see. You know, he's got good stuff. He had 5.9 Ks as a starter, 11.9 as a reliever, in 58 innings as a starter, 27 as a reliever. And I pointed that out. I was like, but he does have swing and miss stuff. He has good velo. Another low strikeout game. His command is already sketchy. I'm making a quick move on Carlos Hernandez in 10s and 12s. And again, I'd cut him for everybody on this list except for Dylan Bundy.
Yeah, unfortunately, I only have him 15, so it's not going to do me much good. I don't know. I'll take a look and see what's out there. And
I mean, some of these guys are going to be available. Paul Black, Michael Lorenzen is available in our main, dude.
He's definitely a guy I might target, especially if I don't need a starter for next week, because like I said,
because you don't want to use him against them.
I don't want to use him against Houston.
But then the question, would you cut Hernandez for Lorenzen in a 15?
It's close.
What about Blackburn, who you ranked higher?
I think I would, especially if the Saturday start is good.
And then Nick Martinez, who you ranked number 1.
Martinez, absolutely. But I was drafting Nick Martinez.
Yeah. And he was getting drafted, and I think he is rostered in. Yeah, he's rostered in everything, but at 112 that I'm in. Mm-hmm. So he's off to the side there for 12s. But Carlos Hernandez, I'm making the quick decision on him, and I'm kind of bouncing out. Mm-hmm. My RotoWire spot is going to happen soon, so we can save these hitters for later. We're going to talk about these guys on Friday. We'll have a longer episode on Friday. I started a new morning streaming show where I'm kind of reviewing the box scores. I'm going to start the Tuesday one earlier going forward so that you and I can have more time, and we can always start at 10:30 because I forgot about the RotoWire spot. So I'm sorry for the shorter episode, definitely on me, but I am recording a guest episode for tomorrow, later today, with our friend Clay Link. Very excited
nice.
To talk to
Love
him.
Clay.
So I'll be having Clay Link on, and that'll go up on Wednesday. So consider that a little bit, making up for the fact that we're basically going 30 minutes here, but not normally what Justin and I do. We can do 2 hours standing on our heads. So we'll be back on Friday talking more baseball. Next episode is tomorrow, Wednesday, with Clay Link. So look out for that. Justin, great talking with you. Until then, peace.
Take it easy.